Every king throughout history has had one, an advisor. Someone who sits close enough to power to see what others cannot. Someone whose job is not to flatter, not to agree, not to tell you what you want to hear, but to tell you the truth about the world around you, before the world uses that truth against you. Today I am that advisor, and what I am about to tell you is something most people spend their entire lives never learning, because most people are never taught to look. There are people in your life right now who are not who they appear to be. They are not operating with your best interests in mind. They are reading you, studying you, mapping your emotions, your insecurities, your needs, and using that map to get what they want from you. They are not evil in the dramatic sense. They are simply skilled at concealment, skilled at redirection, skilled at making you feel like the problem when you start to notice something is wrong. Machiavelli wrote that the first duty of a prince is to understand the nature of the people around him, not to assume goodwill, not to project his own honesty onto others, but to see clearly, with cold, unsentimental eyes, who is truly with him and who is simply performing loyalty while waiting for the right moment to serve themselves. As your advisor, I am here to give you those eyes. Welcome to the King's Codex. Lesson 1. How manipulators think. The psychology behind the mask. Before you can spot a manipulator, you need to understand how they operate. Because their greatest weapon is not aggression, it is not cruelty, it is likability. The most effective manipulators are often the most charming people in the room. They make you feel seen, understood, special. They mirror your energy back at you with precision. They say exactly the right thing at exactly the right moment, and that is the first sign. Psychologists identify a pattern called love bombing. The overwhelming early attention, affection, and validation that manipulators use to create rapid emotional dependency. It feels incredible. It feels like finally being understood. What it actually is a calculated investment. They are depositing goodwill into your emotional bank account so that later, when they begin making withdrawals, asking for favors, pushing boundaries, shifting blame, the balance feels too high to question. As your advisor, I want you to remember this. Anyone who makes you feel extraordinarily special very quickly, before they have earned the right to know you that deeply, deserves a second look. Genuine connection builds slowly. Manipulation builds fast. Machiavelli warned that the prince must be especially wary of those who flatter. He wrote that flattery is a plague because people who flatter you are telling you what serves them, not what is true. The manipulator's charm is flattery in its most sophisticated form. It is designed to lower your guard. And a king whose guard is down is a king who can be taken. Lesson 2. Reading the body, what their physiology reveals before their words do. As your advisor, this is one of the most powerful tools I can place in your hands. Because the body does not lie the way the mouth does. Words can be rehearsed, controlled, carefully constructed. The body leaks truth even when the mind is working hard to conceal it. Here is what to watch for. The first signal is microexpressions. These are involuntary facial expressions that flash across a person's face in a fraction of a second, often less than a quarter of a second, before the controlled expression takes over. Research by psychologist Paul Ekman identified 7 universal microexpressions including contempt, disgust, fear, and anger. When someone is lying or manipulating, their true feeling flickers across their face before the mask goes back on. The contempt microexpression, a slight one-sided raise of the lip, is particularly telling. It signals that the person feels superior to you while performing something different. Watch for it when someone is agreeing with you a little too enthusiastically. The second signal is eye contact inconsistency. Contrary to popular belief, liars do not always avoid eye contact. In fact, trained manipulators often make excessive eye contact because they know the myth and use it to their advantage. What to watch instead is the pattern. Natural eye contact breaks rhythmically and feels comfortable. Forced eye contact feels pressured and unbroken. When someone is constructing a lie, they will often look up and to the right, accessing the creative rather than the memory centers of the brain. When someone is genuinely remembering something, they tend to look up and to the left. The third signal is incongruence between words and body. When someone says "I am fine," but their arms are crossed, their jaw is tight, and their foot is pointed toward the exit, believe the body. When someone tells you they support you but lean slightly back and away every time your success is mentioned, believe the body. The body carries the truth the mouth has been trained to hide. As your advisor, I want you to practice this. In your next significant conversation, give 30% of your attention to the words and 70% to the body. You will be surprised at what you have been missing. Lesson 3. The scenarios. How manipulation actually looks in real life. Theory is valuable, but as your advisor, I want to give you something you can use immediately. So let us talk about how manipulation actually shows up in the situations you live in every day. Scenario 1. The victim who is always the victim. You know this person. Every story they tell ends with them being wronged. Every relationship they have had has been with someone terrible. Every workplace they have left was toxic. And somehow, mysteriously, the one constant in all of these stories is them. The manipulator who plays the victim is using your empathy as a weapon. They have learned that victimhood creates obligation in kind people, that if they can make you feel responsible for their pain, you will work endlessly to relieve it, which is exactly the position they want you in. Machiavelli would call this the weaponization of weakness. The appearance of vulnerability deployed strategically to gain power over those too compassionate to question it. Scenario 2. The gaslighter. You bring up something that bothered you, and somehow by the end of the conversation you are apologizing. You raise a concern and suddenly you are too sensitive, too paranoid, too dramatic. The gaslighter's goal is to make you distrust your own perception, because a person who cannot trust their own judgment will always defer to someone else's. And that someone else is them. If you consistently leave conversations with this person feeling confused about your own reality, that confusion is not an accident. It is the intended outcome. Scenario 3. The favor collector. This person gives generously but never for free. Every gift, every act of help, every moment of support comes with an invisible price tag that you only discover when they decide to collect. They do not tell you what they want in return up front. They let the debt accumulate silently and then present the bill at the moment most inconvenient for you to refuse. As your advisor, the rule here is simple. Be wary of anyone whose generosity always seems to arrive just before they need something from you. Lesson 4. What to do with what you now know. The king's response to manipulation. Machiavelli wrote that knowing the nature of your opponent is the beginning of all strategy. You have the knowledge now. Here's what to do with it. The first move is never to reveal that you see them. This is critical. The moment a manipulator knows they have been identified, they will shift tactics. They will become the victim of your suspicion. They will use your confrontation against you. The king who has identified a manipulator does not announce it. He simply adjusts. He becomes less available, less emotionally transparent, less predictable. He gives them less to work with and watches what they do when their usual methods stop producing results. Their response to that shift will tell you everything you need to know about their true intentions. The second move is to test before you trust. As your advisor, I recommend this practice. Before extending any significant trust, loyalty, or vulnerability to someone new, give them a small, low-stakes test. Share something minor and observe how they handle it. Do they keep it private or do they use it later? Do they honor small commitments or do they rationalize breaking them? A person's behavior with small things tells you everything about how they will behave with the things that actually matter. The third move is to control your emotional expression around them. The manipulator's map of you is drawn from your emotional reactions. Every time you show frustration, hurt, or need, you are handing them a tool. This does not mean suppressing your emotions in general. It means being deliberate about who gets to see them. The king does not perform vulnerability for everyone. He reserves it for those who have earned it. Everyone else sees the composed, measured face of someone who cannot be easily read. The king who cannot be read cannot be manipulated, and the king who cannot be manipulated cannot be controlled. As your advisor, that is the level I want you operating at. This is the King's Codex. See you in the next one.